The first time Manny Arora is not in the Golden Scissor studio just doesn't feel right to me. Just doesn't feel the same. Instead, he's at his special defense attorney office in his special defense attorney house, getting ready to make a road trip for some reason to the great city of Orlando, Florida. Hello, Manny.
Hey, Jason. How are y'all?
We're good. What are you going to Orlando for?
Got a child pornography on the computer downloading type of stuff case to go deal with in Orlando.
Oh, and I'm guessing you're representing the dude with the kiddie porn on his computer, huh?
Yes, that would be the correct answer.
You've got to cringe when you get that phone call. You're like, there's no fucking way I can help this guy out. I'm going to do my best.
I'm going to do my best, but at least it's not live children. It's just photographs.
Oh, well, that's always a plus, just to have photographs. So how did that guy get a hold of you?
Just word of mouth. We do a lot of work all over the country, and so occasionally people will, look you up or they'll know somebody and they'll recommend us.
Yeah, but that's crazy. I don't know why it's so hard for me, Nate, to swallow the idea that the word of mouth for an attorney gets out. But it makes sense. But like, I'm picturing that in every bathroom, in every jail is, call Manny Arora, or go to the AuroraLawFirm.com to get a hold of Manny Arora. Just, I don't know why it's hard for me to understand that. I don't understand.
Yeah, I've seen there's some guy on TikTok and he was talking about like the best way to pick your attorney and stuff, and one of the tips was like, oh, you figure out who your judge is, and then you find the guy that's always like, pleading his case in his courtroom, so that they're friends, so maybe he'll cut you a deal or something like that. So maybe they just hear from word of mouth, like, hey, Manny's the man. He knows what's up. Mad Dog Manny.
Is that how that works, Manny?
It's all word of mouth. Unfortunately, unlike your Orlando lawyers, we don't have any billboards. It's all based on, past results. So you're either the best lawyer in the world because you help somebody, have a good result, or you're the worst lawyer because you lost the case.
Ooh.
But it's worked out pretty good for us, and that's why famous people like you have us on your show.
Yeah, the little jab to the Orlando. I got a lot of attorney buddies in Orlando. You're right. They all do have billboards. You are correct.
Yeah. It's demeaning to the profession, gentlemen. Don't hire a lawyer with a billboard, please.
Is that really a thing, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's advertising started in the late 70s in the legal world. They didn't used to do it, then they called it a First Amendment issue. And I just think it sort of cheapens the profession.
Huh. Interesting. I did not realize that. So did this guy call you up from jail and say, hey, my name is, I got your number through, and here's my situation. What do you think?
Well, it's his family that called up, and, it's a very well-respected family. And the thing you'll learn with the child pornography stuff is if you're going to adult sites, a lot of times spam and other things start coming down as part of packages, like when you buy stuff from, like locals only and things of that nature. And so the key here is, did the person open up the child pornography? And if they did, how long was it open? You can tell all that from the computer, so you can decide if they're actually basically a child pornography person or if it's just something superfluous on there. But you can go online at a lot of those places, and for like $10 you can buy 1,000 pictures of Kim Kardashian doing whatever, or whoever you choose. But sometimes a bunch of extra junk comes through there, or you get a lot of people that dump cookies and things onto your computer that you don't realize it, and your computer starts hosting something and it's shifting photos through to other folks, because it's not like you just exchange child pornography on Yahoo. It's a lot more complicated than that. So those are the kinds of things we have to dig up. And in Orlando, one of the seminal computer experts lives there and has his business out of there. So I'm going to go see him and try to figure this out.
Wow. So you said this guy is from a well-known family or a well-off family?
Successful, well-to-do professional family. Not well-known, but, it's just like somebody at your level or maybe a little bit higher. If your kid got into an issue and they swear up and down that, this is not what they've done. And, I've seen it. It's not always intentional when you're getting the child pornography, especially with the stuff online.
Well, not to, like, when you first hear that, you automatically want to burn them at the stake, and,
Sure.
and rightfully so for the whack jobs that are doing this. But you do bring up a good point, is, like, it's got to be case by case. and you have to understand the reasoning for it. Like, I could pull up pictures of my daughter when she was a kid and she was maybe, you know, a little naked running around the house or in a bit, you know, like, oh my God, remember that time she was just so adorable and now she's a teenager and it's, but if I were to take my computer into the Geek Squad and they're going through it and they're going to say, oh my God, he's got all these pictures of this girl, and the cops are just automatically going to arrest me, which then tarnishes my name, right? I'm automatically a pedophile before I'm even able to say what the heck. This is a picture of my daughter, you dumbasses. So you're right. I guess you do have to look at it case by case.
Right, and nobody listens once you say child pornography.
No.
It's pretty much over. But if anybody that's listening has been to like Pornhub or any of those things, and they say, you know, stepdaughter or teens or whatever it is that people are into, a whole lot of stuff opens up that you don't realize in the background. So if you, as an experiment, everyone, if you go in and go to Pornhub and, you know, do whatever, when you actually look at sort of the pages that have opened up, when you look in your history, you may have only looked at one site doing something on Pornhub, but there'll be like 8 other things that have opened underneath it that you don't realize. And so if you go through your history after you go to a site like that, you'll see what I mean. And Brendan, if you wouldn't mind doing a demonstration while we're doing this, you can probably prove my point. It's the thing on an Apple that looks like a little book on your phone at the bottom when you're online. After you go to a site like that and you hit the book and you can look at the history, a lot of other shit will pop up that you're like, when did this come up?
Wow. Yeah, Brandon's wondering if you need a researcher at the Arora law firm, like for cases like this.
We could always use hypothetical researchers for things like this.
Yeah.
But this one work: big tits, POV, hand job, make huge cum shot.
Yeah. See,
there you go.
Yeah. Did you go to those sites, or did they just kind of pop up in the background, Brandon?
Well, I'm on there right now. Do I need to click on it?
No.
I have 2 hands free. That's right.
I'm assuming, Manny, you don't do your own research, because I would think your wife and probably people around you would be like, let's not do this. You're the guy.
People in this office understand there's a lot of sexual stuff that goes on out there, but yeah, we have our office computers to check a lot of these things out. But it's just interesting stuff that you learn, because you're like, if you didn't go to it, how'd you get it on there? But it's a thing. I mean, it really happens.
Yeah. We, you know, in the radio business, I remember there was a time where we would be on these sites all the time for research. I mean, for content. I mean, that's what we're doing. You know, maybe it's in a news story or something. And then they started cracking down on the sites. And I remember one time, I think an engineer had come to me. This was when I was in Orlando. It was like, are you the one on this computer that's going to these sites all the time? And I'm like, well, yeah, but it's for the show. You're going to have to go in and talk to the boss. Like, are you, come on, I'm a radio personality. It's what we do. We talk about stuff like this. So, because I've never been a big porn guy. I don't go to the websites or anything like that. It's just never been my thing. So I had to sit there uncomfortably and explain to my female boss why I'm going on these porn sites. I'm like, am I the only one that's coming into your office to explain this? As of right now, yes, you're the only one.
Okay.
Well, Jesus. All right. The AuroraLawFirm.com. We'll get to some of your questions that you've sent us via podcastthebs.com or on our social media. Also, the hotline is always there for you, 404-369-3825. That's to leave a question for Manny or to leave something for us. You can do that, or you can do that on the Spotify app as well. It's actually very easy on the Spotify app if you have anything to leave for us. Before we get to the email questions, anything else that you want to bring up? Any updates on Anna Delvey that you're taking care of? She's up in New York. Any other big cases?
For Anna's case, we've got a hearing with her private attorney, which I'm sure you read some of the articles. I think one of your viewers mentioned, hey, Manny's name wasn't on some article. Just to let everybody know, I've hired an immigration lawyer to do the immigration things under our umbrella. And we also hired a local counsel up in New York to file a suit against the previous counsel that didn't do anything. And that's what sort of made the news. But we've got a hearing on the 26th of this month, so I'll be up there in 2 weeks to handle that. And hopefully shortly after that, we can get her out of custody and have her down here for the celebration at Pontoon.
Yeah. Well, we haven't. Podcast and Pours 2 is a little complicated right now, but it's getting all fixed and figured out in order to make it bigger. But can you imagine, Nate, that outside of what we already have planned, to say that Anna Delvey is going to be at Podcast and Pours too? How awesome would that be?
Oh, that'd be awesome. And now we might have a little bit more time to make sure she gets out.
Yes. Yeah, that's why we're doing it. That's the reason, sure. And then Manny's like, well, if you're going to have Anna, you're going to have this porn guy too. He's going to come over.
Well, make sure you write all your immigration judges. Please give us a break and let her out for at least a little while until I get the appeal done.
Please, yeah. All right, here's your first one. Hey, Manny, what are your thoughts on Deshaun Watson in that case altogether? Like, why are all the civil case? Why are they all civil cases instead of criminal, etc.? That's right in your wheelhouse too. You handle a lot of professional athletes and cases like this.
Sure. Well, to win in a civil case, you need what's called a preponderance of the evidence, which is like 51% or more of the evidence has to say you did it. But to win in a criminal case, you have to have beyond a reasonable doubt. Nobody really knows what that number is, but everybody guesstimates it's in the 90s or something like that, but it's a much higher standard. And so if you, as a prosecutor, don't think you can meet the force requirement or the consent issue, or if it's a close call, you're probably not going to win in a criminal case, and so they're not going to bring it. But it doesn't mean you can't win in, the civil court. And so rather than go through the massive expense of lawyers and everything else in a civil case, probably they're settling and it's all confidential, so you don't know the amounts. But if you use like the Johnny Depp case as an example against Amber Heard, he won $10 million, but I think it cost him $7 to $8 million just to have the lawyers and the team and all the stress that you go through in the publicity. So it's a smart play on his part, and hopefully he'll get to play and not be suspended for the whole year.
Do you think he'll play?
The NFL has no set rules, and I used to deal with Goodell when I went up to his office a few times from some other players, and it's just whatever they feel like on any given day. And he's the judge, jury, and executioner, essentially, as far as that goes. They're trying to negotiate sort of an arbitration of his decisions now. But if history sees how it's going, I would imagine he's probably not going to play this year. But at the same time, Cleveland must have talked to the commissioner's office about him before they gave him a guaranteed, $230 million contract or something.
Yeah, and then get rid of Baker Mayfield. He's off to Carolina. I think, what is it? Is it Jacoby Brissett, who's backing up Deshaun Watson? I'm not sure on that. I think it is.
He'll be starting, that's for sure, at least in the beginning of the year.
That's crazy that they took a chance on him. But the whole thing about Deshaun Watson is, if I remember correctly, it's that he was propositioning female massage massage ladies that would come to him for sex, right? That's the whole thing.
That's essentially it. I don't know if they actually had it or if there was any force involved or if he made him do anything, but it's essentially sort of what the Robert Kraft with the Patriots kind of did, except this has turned into a much bigger thing.
Yeah, I'm not understanding why this is like a criminal act. If they're coming to his house, and it's just like if a woman drops off a pizza at your house and you find her attractive, and there is a thing, love at first sight, sparks fly, there's this chemistry and things just happen. I've had it happen. It's just a thing. So he's not hiring prostitutes. He's getting a massage. He's just getting turned on and saying, hey, would you like something more? And if they say no. Now, if he's forcing them to do something, obviously that's a whole nother conversation, but I don't remember any of that talk of him forcing anybody to do anything. He just propositioned them. And I would say the difference between that and Robert Kraft is Robert Kraft knowingly went into one of those massage places. These ladies that are coming to him are not in that business. He's propositioning them, hence why there's a case. They felt uncomfortable.
Well, there's no criminal case. Let's just get that clear. There's not enough evidence of it. So we don't know if it was just propositioning or if it went a little farther. But if somebody's dropping off a pizza and they're attractive and I grab a boob, it's going to be a problem. So there's something more to it than just that. That's why the lawsuits are coming and the lawsuits are settling. But we'll see what the NFL does. But again, they don't have any set rules. Like there's a chart as to if you do this, you get this. It's completely in the commissioner's discretion. So it's very arbitrary.
Well, just to make it very clear, I didn't say forcibly grab a boob. You would ask before you grabbed the boob.
Sure. Hypothetically speaking, don't grab a boob without permission.
Correct. All right. Your wife's a Browns fan, isn't she? If memory serves.
She's from Cleveland, but she's up and down Browns fan. She's taken a lot of pain for a long time.
Oh gosh, poor Nick Chubb.
And she's a Browns fan.
Yeah. So they have Deshaun Watson, who's got this case, and let's not forget Kareem Hunt. I mean, that guy, all his troubles went away after he left Kansas City, but he had that domestic violence thing going on.
Sure. I mean, everybody's got something, but apparently Cleveland solves all the problems.
I guess. In Georgia, do felony probation warrants expire, Manny?
They do not until they catch you. So it can be up. You don't get credit for running and doing a good job. So once they issue the felony probation warrant, the probation stops. So however much time is left, that's how much time potentially you could get revoked.
That's awesome. I've got a warrant out for my arrest. It's up in 5 days. If I just hide for 5 days, I'll be free and in the clear. That's all I got to do. That's funny. All right. Can a cop open a closed and latched gate of a third party that has a no trespassing sign on it with an arrest warrant? LEOs opened my gate because they suspended that a person they had an arrest warrant for was there, which they weren't there. Did they have the right to just unlatch the gate that has a no trespassing sign on it and open them up and proceeded onto my property looking for said suspect? What's LEO?
A law enforcement officer.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah, people can come onto your property if they have a proper warrant and they're looking for somebody, which means a judge said they have a reasonable, probable cause that person's there, and they can come into your house, look for that person. But just because you have a gate that says no trespassing doesn't really mean anything. Otherwise, I could just say amnesty outside my door. Nobody could come in. It just doesn't quite work that way. But a proper warrant lets them get in there.
So those signs are scams. Like if you put no trespassing and someone trespass, you go, look, I got a sign. It's legal. It's all legal here. Or beware of dog, and somebody gets bitten by your dog. You say, it's not my problem. I had a sign. That doesn't work like that.
The sign helps you because it puts you on notice that there's a dog. And if you have a reason to come on there, like you're the mailman or the milkman or whatever it used to be in the old days, it's a little different. But now for the general public, you can say no trespassing, and you can call the police on them as far as coming onto your property legally. But these are police officers that can't come onto your property unless they have a proper warrant.
I want to put one of those out. We have solicitors, loiters. What is it? Soliciting or loitering? Same thing, right?
Soliciting. Loitering means just sort of hanging out and drinking beers with your back against the wall at the convenience store.
No.
Soliciting means knocking on their door and saying, hey, become a Jehovah.
Yeah, that's what we got. Had one the other day, pulled up a little buggy cart up to the front porch, and I just talked to him through the ring, and I said, thank you. Have yourself a great day. Because, they're just trying to do what they're trying to do. But just, get us. Don't come to my house. I don't know why you come to my house.
Was he Amish?
I don't know what he was. I didn't pay attention. I was doing something, and I heard the dogs bark, and my wife was like, are you expecting someone? I was like, no. And so I just looked at I didn't even want to go to the front door, and I just looked at it through the ring camera. A lot of times I'll go out the garage, and I'll kind of flank them, and I'll come up behind them and be like, what do you want? And talk to them. They're always very nice, and maybe they're scamming, maybe they're not. They're just trying to make a living. It just drives me freaking insane. I hate that occupation. Will the below info be on my record? This is the question. A cop caught my girlfriend and I in her car having sex. I didn't have an ID on me, so he took my name and birth date and went back to his car. He came back and told us that he wouldn't issue a warning or a citation since our embarrassment was enough of a punishment. Will that be on my record with the police regardless? By the way, it's in Snellville, Georgia, where this all happened.
It won't be on your record. If he didn't do a citation or a warning citation, you're all good.
Okay. So that answers that. Brandon, ever been caught in a car with I'd be with a woman. Never mind. Can I have my fingerprints or DNA expunged from CODIS and the state database upon completion of conditional discharge? Controlled substance possession 2015, sentenced to 3 years, conditional discharge, felony probation in 2017, completed in 2020. That's a lot.
I don't know about the DNA for sure because I haven't had to deal with it, but the fingerprints and stuff will go away if it's your first and only arrest. And after you complete your conditional discharge, they're supposed to expunge or seal the record. You may have to petition for that. The conditional discharge just means the charges get dismissed. But to make sure that the expungement gets done, you probably have to follow up with your lawyer and make sure they do that.
All right, let's get a voicemail. Again, the hotline for us If you got a question for Manny or you just got something for the show, it's 404-369-3825. Here it is.
Hey, Manny, my son went to a concert this past weekend. He snuck in a bottle of vodka. He attempted to throw the bottle on stage so the performer would drink it. He didn't quite throw it far enough, hit someone in the head. They were taken out on a stretcher. What should we do?
Ooh, that's a great question. What a great question. You should probably get him some lessons in throwing, right?
Well, how is it if you throw a bottle of vodka, it's not going to smash on the stage?
Plastic bottle, maybe?
I've never heard of somebody throwing a bottle. I've been to a lot of concerts, so the person would drink it. I think I would be scared if I was on stage and somebody starts throwing shit at me.
Oh, I've seen that a million times. That's why they take the caps off of water and they let the pressure out of cans now, thinking that you can't throw it as far. Years and years ago in Orlando, when I was there doing radio, we had, I think this was probably 2004 when we had the trifectas of the hurricanes. And the station, the cluster that I was at, did a tremendous job of quickly putting together this hurricane relief party concert. And they had Shine Down, and we called on all of our friends of the radio station, and they came out, Shine Down, Authority Zero, and stuff like that. But the Authority Zero set, I'll never forget all the beer bottles that were being thrown up on stage. It was crazy. And I was on the stage watching the show, and I'm dodging beer bottles. I ended up hiding behind the speaker. I don't know why they did. Authority Zero is kind of one of those, emo punk bands kind of thing. So they stirred up the crowd, but that was dangerous. It happens a lot, often, more often than you think.
Well, for her, if they know that her son's the one that threw the bottle, I mean, theoretically, he could be arrested for assault and battery. If they don't know it's her son, then I'd leave it alone. And there may be a lawsuit that's filed as well if they know who you are. So you definitely want to get in touch with your homeowner's insurance and see if it's something they would cover or any other insurance that they have. Because sometimes there's bizarre policies in there. But if they know who the person is that threw the bottle, there could be some consequences coming down.
That has to be a big bottle, right?
I guess. I mean, would a plastic bottle split somebody's head open?
Yeah, it would have to. See, if you're sneaking a bottle of vodka into a concert, I mean, I would think it'd be the mini bottles, right, Nate?
Yeah, I would assume it's just a flask.
Or a flask.
Or I mean, like the flask-sized bottle.
The flask-sized bottle. Okay. And they can be glass, and that's...
Mm-hmm.
What band?
If you're throwing glass, it'd be crazy. I mean, it would break, right, when it landed?
Yeah, stupid.
Well, they're supposed to catch it. I mean, you always see the videos of somebody throwing a beer and like the lead singer catches it with one hand and chugs it on stage and everybody goes crazy. So I'm assuming that's what their idea was, but no way you throw a bottle of vodka. That's not a good idea.
Dude, so sorry, Mom. In my head, I had this bottle of vodka and I was going to throw it up there and Chainsaw was going to grab it and then down it during my most favorite song, Birds Are Blue, Only in the Summer. I love that song and he always drinks vodka during the song. Just didn't work out.
But a whole bottle? That'd be a hell of a liver.
Chainsaw loves vodka. Chainsaw's a vodkaaholic. In the state of Georgia, can a person who has been convicted of a state felony and served his sentence own a firearm? This person completed his sentence 26 years ago.
No, you can't unless it's been expunged or you got your rights reinstated. You can file for a right reinstatement 10 years after the sentence is completed. So if they finished it 26 years ago, they'd be eligible to file it. And that's the only way. But unless you have it expunged or you get your rights reinstated, there's no guns. It doesn't matter if the conviction's 100 years old.
Weren't they trying to pass something either on a state or federal level not that long ago that more ex-felons, or felons, I guess I should say, not an ex-felon, but more felons, if they meet a certain criteria, can get their rights back to maybe even vote and to have a firearm? Wasn't that a big thing a couple years ago?
It was mostly for voting, and some states passed it that if you've been a felon after a certain amount of years and you've done good, you can start voting again. I don't remember anything about the guns, but traditionally after 10 years have gone, once your sentence was complete, your probation's over or whatever, you can reapply to get all your rights back. Or if you were a first offender, like the question a couple of questions ago, you can have a gun at that point too.
What do you think about that? Should they get their rights back?
You talking to me or Brandon?
No, I'm definitely not talking to Brandon. You, yeah.
I really haven't thought about it very deeply as far as that goes, but if you did something wrong, it depends on what it is. If you should get your right to a gun back, because while guns are bread and butter of our business, they do cause a lot of damage by a lot of stupid people. And so I'm a little standoffish on that. I think the fewer the guns, the better, even though they would hurt my business. Maybe safer because there's not that many responsible people that I've found that have an arsenal, especially in my neighborhood.
Yeah,
you know my neighborhood, Jason.
I do. I think it's definitely a case by case. Everything's a case by case. That's the problem with a lot of things now. Like when people are being canceled or so on, it's just this overall generic. Well, if you do something, then you're automatically this. Or if this person in your group does this, then you're automatically associated with it. Versus taking each case, each case by case. The racism stuff drives me insane. If like one guy says something in private and is caught on camera, he's automatically a racist, and he probably goes to Klan meetings and he does all this stuff. And this versus trying to understand why it happened and what that person is, and should there be a punishment for it, or if it's any of your business, should there be punishment for it? I think it's because people have become lazy, where they just want to put everybody under one giant umbrella versus saying, okay, we're going to take each case case by case. Personal opinion.
Sounds like a politics thing. Everything's an extreme, and it's just like in sports, right? Every highlight, oh, that was the greatest home run I've ever seen, or this is all historic. Have you ever watched a game that isn't historic now anymore? Yeah. There's always something. It's we're all over the top these days.
Every game is, this is the best Wimbledon ever. It's so historic. Actually, it was historic, though, because, Joker, I guess the history was made. Isner got the ace record, too, so I guess it was historic. All right, this is a long one. Can you be arrested for a marijuana DUI while not intoxicated? My fiance was arrested for his friend leaving a marijuana roach in his car. The cops pulled him over for having a taillight out. The cop noticed the roach right away and told him he was impaired. Had him do a sobriety test. They had him do it on a hill and even said that's not how they normally do it. Then proceeded to tell him that he was intoxicated, even though he hadn't ingested marijuana for a couple hours. They also performed a blood test. He was released as soon as someone could pick him up. How can they prove he was impaired at the time? He hasn't been given a charge either. Also left with his license. I've read they typically take the driver's license with charges of DUI. How long do you have to wait to know of being charged? How long do you have to wait to know of being charged? Wish you guys would proofread this stuff. That was long, lengthy. What do you think?
All right. So the key there is he hadn't smoked marijuana in a couple of hours. The rule is if there's marijuana in your system, you could be DUI based on drugs, not just alcohol. So if they pulled you over properly for a taillight violation, okay, so that's phase one. Phase two, they come up and ask you for your license, what have you, and they notice a roach in your glove compartment, assuming it's in plain view. They now have probable cause to reasonable suspicion to decide if they want to do something further. If they take him out and make him do field sobriety tests, you always fail field sobriety tests. They're very subjective, and depending on the time of day they do these, you're not going to pass those things if the cop's made up his mind. They then took his blood. The blood should tell you if there's marijuana in the system or not. And that should be the definitive answer. If there isn't anything in his system, which would seem unlikely since he just smoked a few hours earlier, he's going to have some problems. But the other thing is, was he driving erratically or doing anything else? Was there a prescription for the marijuana? Was it, any host of other reasons? And then also the field sobrieties, if they weren't done properly, you could always have those excluded as well. So whether it's on a hill or something else, we would have to look at the video and figure that out if we could get it all tossed. So yes, you could win the case, but at the same time, the blood test would be quite telling.
Okay, but the rule of thumb, don't take the field sobriety test, don't
Correct.
blow, don't do the blood test, let them take you to jail, call Manny Arora, call somebody, but don't
Right.
do any of the tests there. You just be very polite and decline and say as little as possible, correct?
That would be my recommendation. And then the thing with the license, it's the officer's discretion. If they take it, they'll give you a piece of paper called 1205 form, which would be your temporary license, but they don't have to take the license. That doesn't mean that you didn't do it.
Do they get like bonuses if they pop enough DUIs a month? You know, the old saying about tickets and a quota.
I'm sure there's a quota, but I don't think the government gives bonuses.
Oh. Get an extra $100 if you get 5 or more DUIs this month. Here's another voicemail.
Hey, Manny, I was driving a work truck home on 885 and a piece of wood fell off. It done hit the ground and hit a car behind me. They followed me back to the shop and we demanded that we pay. Do I have to pay them or is it just a littering ticket? Thank you.
Right.
Well, it's not a littering ticket if it hit somebody. So the question is, did you secure the property properly? And if you didn't, then yeah, there could be an issue. If you did, then it's just an accident. That's why we all have insurance. And so I would just call my insurance company and have them work it out. I don't know how much damage was done on the highway. I guess a piece of wood could probably do some serious damage at those speeds. But yeah, just call the insurance company. It's not a littering thing if stuff falls off your truck if it's not secured. Unlike those trucks that are having the rocks fly off of there. You know what I'm talking about when you're on the highway. Or, you know, trash is flying out of the dump truck when I'm following the trash truck on the highway occasionally. But that's why you have insurance. You're going to be potentially liable.
I just had my windshield replaced because of one of those damn trucks. And in Georgia, it's a lot different. Florida, you get free windshields. You get 2 free windshields for, I don't know if it's like a lifetime or something. I don't know what it is. Georgia, you got to pay $100 for your windshield with insurance.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but it's either an accident, but if you were negligent, then there could be something more severe. But I don't think the cops are going to give you a ticket. Assume they didn't, since he didn't put that in the question.
No. All right, last question here. If a trash can is left on the street, is it free game to take anything out of said trash can? Signed Brandon Thrasher.
Generally, if it's left on the street, there's a whole debate of if there's any privacy issues, because a lot of times the police go through your trash, especially in drug investigations. But yeah, I've seen people just pick up and take a sofa that's sitting out there. I think it should be a free-for-all if it's off your property and just on that curb. But I don't know why you'd want something, but you know, who am I to judge?
Oh, I love people's trash. Like if I had time and I knew that was okay, I would probably go through people's trash cans. I love people's stuff. I'm fascinated with it.
We used to go to the dumpsters, like at the end of school, everyone would be throwing their paperwork away. One time we found like this teacher sign in to like all their grade books and everything.
Yeah.
We try to sign in, but apparently they change it every year.
Yeah.
But if it's on the end of the street, you're okay. You just can't go on their property. Like, you know, some garbage companies actually come up your driveway and get the stuff for you. But if it's at the curb at the end of it, you might get yelled at by somebody, but it's generally a free-for-all. Have at it if you want to go through people's trash.
I'm addicted to ATM receipts. Like if I'm going to the bank or anywhere, if I'm anywhere near an ATM, but I like the ones that show the balance. I don't care how much you took out. I want to know how much you have in your account. I am
My wife sent me this.
What
is that getting you going? It's the ATM receipt where she withdrew a bunch of money to pay the landscaping people.
Yeah, something like that. But
shocking.
Usually at a casino, because the play is like, oh, if you go to the ATM, that means you're not doing well, obviously, right? You go to the ATM before, you have cash in pocket, and then if you have to go to the ATM, that's bad. So in order to make yourself feel better, at least I do, I try to find other people's ATM receipts to see how much money they have left in their bank account. And some people have like $50 left in their bank. They took like $20 out to gamble, which is crazy to me that you would even be in a casino with that kind of balance. But anyway, so when I see stuff like that, I'm like, I got more money in my account than them. I feel good. So it makes me feel okay taking the money out. It's a weird.
You know who the real winner is there, Jason? It's those 10 to 15% fees that the ATM charges inside the casino/strip club.
Oh, yeah.
That's murder right there.
Oh, it's hard. That's why I don't like going to the ATM. Well, I don't like going to the ATM because I wish I were winning, but I despise those ATM fees. Now, my bank won't charge me for going to, as much as I despise my bank, they won't charge me because I'm at a certain level with them. If I go to another ATM, I can go so many times. But the casino charges, and it's think it's like $6 to take money out, which is pretty low for a casino. Some casinos in Vegas will charge you $12.
Yeah.
No, that's crazy. Very, very sad. All right. You think this is going to be a one trip to Orlando? You're going to get this kiddie porn guy off the hook and then you're coming back home, or you're going to have to go back and forth?
No, it's going to be multiple trips. This kind of stuff prosecutors go nuts for, so it's going to require some serious legwork.
Oh, really? Do you know who the prosecutor is?
I couldn't tell you the name off the top of my head, but I'm sure it'll be somebody young that'll annoy the shit out of me, and we'll go from there.
All right. I wish I would have known, man. I would have gone with you. I got to go back to Orlando for a few things anyway. That would have been cool.
Well, I need a good paralegal, so we could just get you in there with me to do all that stuff. I
am at a point in my life, Manny Arora, that I am open to any career move. I got to tell you, I've thought about a lot of things. I'll be your official Pornhub.com research guy.
I thought Brandon volunteered for that, so we're going to talk in a week or so when I come back on the show, see what he found.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll have a book report done for you. All right, the AuroraLawFirm.com if you need Manny, and I know a few of you have and will. Specializing in criminal law, located here in Atlanta, Georgia, but practices nationwide. Any questions? If you want to go to podcastthebs.com for next time Manny's on, that's fine. Or you can call the hotline if you choose, 404-369-3825. Have a safe trip to Orlando. Good luck with your kiddie porn trial, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, guys.